Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tashana, the hostess with the mostest. Let's get into this. All right, so y'all, first of all, I'm late. Excuse me. I went to an event. I didn't know that I was going to be at said event. Enjoyed myself. All right. But the vanadium atomic number 23, we are still in transition metals if you haven't been following, right? Now, this is another one of those elements that, listen, not a lot of information is out there. So what that says to me is that not more research definitely needs to take place as these elements are concerned, but it also is telling me that they are valuable, right? Because they're scarce. They're not as abundant as others, and like I said, they tell a story, right? If we were to research them enough, we'll start finding a lot of answers to some questions, right? I'm saying that because, again, South Africa, Russia, and China is where most of it is found, right? Most of it is found in traces in over 60 different minerals, right? It was discovered twice. So that right there was another telltale sign that I was like, okay, wait a minute. And then again, space vehicles, nuclear reactors, aircraft carriers, right, is what it's used for. And mainly only U.S. energy fuel companies are miners that seek this mineral in particular. China has the most rare minerals on reserve, right? Again, this is one of those things that if you were to look into, you would start finding a lot of different things about history that we have yet to discover. And I'm only saying that because with the scandium, it's Scandinavia, right? And now with the vanadium, it's South Africa and Russia. Russia is kind of like close to that area a little bit. And then you have South Africa, which is, again, like I said, one of those places where a lot of different transitions have taken place in comparison to the areas surrounding it. So what do I mean? Like South Africa. Look at how now up to date the Europeans have settled and vastly taken over, right? But then when you look at other countries surrounding it, they have a rich history of a black presence that's still prominent and still present today. But then you have South Africa that is just pretty much whitewashed, right? Or just went through so many different changes. And that's what I mean as far as different changes. The people, there's a great influx in the people that have settled there over time and today. And I meant that when I said it about the scandium in Scandinavia, and I'm saying it again about this vanadium with South Africa, Russia, and China as well. I think a lot of people overlook history when it comes to China, and I'm only saying that because we don't have a lot of information. We only literally have these few dynasties that were built. Then we have, right, like the silk and the rice and the potatoes and all of that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, as far as, contributing to history, we don't really have a lot of information. So to find that they have the most rare minerals on reserve, they have the most American dollars on reserve. I mean, what the hell is going on with China? Right? That's a whole nother topic. I want to try to stay on this vanadium. It's alloyed with iron and titanium, and it's in traces of food, mushroom, parsley, beer, wine, and even weed. That was interesting. So that right there told me that it's definitely a part of, the exchange in the overall, ecosystem, and just the trading off with the energies and what's in the air. It's not common in the air. It's not toxic to the human body. Of course, when you think of anything that's like a stronger mineral, you would want to think of your organs or your bones and things like that. Toxic effects is caused by high loads of vanadium oxide in the air. So this having the ability to be oxidated and being toxic to humans was interesting as well. Now, this is a malleable transition metal, or it's pliable or flexible. Okay, meaning that it can bend or be conformed out of shape without breaking or cracking. That's like the definition of it. Okay. Now, this particular mineral is in our system, but it translates as vanadate and vanadol or vanadil from the bloodstream, right? Vanadium becomes distributed to tissues and bones, and bone acts as a storage pool for the vanadate. And it's possibly related to the proper way for our bones to grow. So when you hear words like maybe, possibly, those are telltale signs that research is underway, right? Not a lot of information, or I won't say not a lot of information is there. It's just not for the public, right? But it is considered an uncommon metal. So that, and it's slightly radioactive. So that right there should be telling you that it's coming from a different dimension or a different space. It's coming from an area that's like a ways from us, right? Or at least it has something so different because it's radioactive. Now, these particular minerals are found in volcanoes, and like I said, they're not publicly traded. This mineral is not publicly traded, so the people who do have access to it, they more than likely own the mines. They more than likely own the areas where this is located, right? Remember, we said China, South Asia, and Russia. Now, this is when I started thinking, because it's a byproduct of uranium mining, and it's used as a catalyst for things like sulfuric acid and things of that nature. This is when I started thinking that the creator, because I looked, and was it in the Earth's crust, and it said, yeah, right, just as much as nickel, zinc, and copper, just as common, but it's still considered an uncommon metal. So I started thinking about how the creator can give us things, right? And we don't really have an understanding, or we haven't used what it is that he gave us because we don't really understand the value of it, or like how to properly use it. I'll say it like that. We have been forced into believing that the things we see is enough, right? Until you become spiritually aware and spiritually active and spiritually excited, because it's one thing to know something, but it's a totally different thing to start applying, right? What is that, you can know that you have these gifts, but if you're not sure what God wants you to do with them, you're basically a sitting duck. Of course, he's going to protect you and guide you, but when I say a sitting duck, I mean you are literally more vulnerable in the spirit world. And if you don't have a compass, right, your own compass, and if the Creator is allowing so many things to happen, if you don't use not even your discernment, but just your overall gifts, you're going to end up in some pretty weird situations, okay? With this being connected to our blood and our bones, right? And then also considering the possibility of it being toxic and high loads in the form of being oxidized. And not to mention that it's a byproduct. Cheese is a byproduct. Right? So maybe we don't have enough of these things because we don't need it. So let's try to focus on the things that we do have. Ooh, this for somebody. Let's try to focus on the things that we do have, because those are the things that he gave us. Those are the things that he wants us to use and work with. The things that you have very little of, you don't really need to focus on it, because if he wanted you to have more of it, he would have given you more of it. The things you have a lot of is what you need to cultivate and invest into. Your energy, your attention, your efforts, right, need to go into these things that have allowed you to understand who you are beyond your physical self. You need to start finding out who you are in the spirit world. And I think we had this question a few months ago. It was a topic. It was I believe it was a segment. The Creator had me ask people that because I had seen a reading, and then he told me that I should also ask people if they knew their spiritual names. So I'm saying, who are you spiritually? I'm saying like your personality, your attitude, your desires, your interests, your hobbies. I'm sorry, because I told y'all I stay in the shelter right now. So my background, sometimes I have to back away. But yeah, make sure you start learning yourself on a spiritual level. Like, what are the things that you like about yourself in the spirit? What do you know about yourself in the spirit? And a lot of the times we don't really know how to answer these questions because we are so caught up in the physical that the spiritual starts to become, not a primary concern. And we're not even realizing that if you are taking care of your spirit, a lot of other things will just fall in line. You don't even have to think about it. When you feed your spirit the things that are necessary for your growth, it is just amazing what God will do to bless you, to encourage you, to show you not only that he's real, not only that he loves you, not only that he's gonna guide and protect you, but that it's okay. And that you're human and you can take your time and you can move on your own accord at your own pace. You don't have to do what other people are expecting of you, because at the end of the day, he is the author. You're the co-author, okay? And you have to allow the Creator to orchestrate if you are going to walk in this, okay? But okay, I'm going to get up out of here. I do love y'all. Hope y'all drink y'all water, eat y'all fruit and vegetables, and sipping on your own tea because it's free. Hope y'all have a good weekend. Love y'all. Peace.